A player's mom nearly ruined my D&D game, but instead led me to love, friendship and a new role as Uncle Caleb in a found family. Original post September 13, 2024. I run 2 D&D games. One I run at a local game shop. It is family friendly and I welcome anyone who can behave and take a shower. Second game is run at my house with me and my 4 oldest friends. We get drunk and screw around in the campaign. It's a campaign we have been running since 5e first came out and is very much built around our terrible humor. Very not public play space friendly. New player is a nice 9-year-old kid named Simon. He loves playing in my public game and found out I run another game. Asked if he could join and I told him it wasn't really open to new players. He was cool about it. Simon is a good kid. Simon's mom found out later when she picked him up and tried to force him into my other game. I had to get the owner to help me calm her down and get her to leave. Simon was in tears apologizing. I felt so bad for him. Owner told mom if she ever set foot in his store again he'd ban her and Simon from the store and get the police involved if he had to. She left in a hurry and almost boned a car in her rush to leave. Simon's dad drops him off now. He came to me and the owner and begged for our forgiveness. Turns out mom wanted Simon in my game as a form of babysitting so she could go out and party with her other terrible mom friends. We told him as long as it's him dropping Simon off there won't be any issues. He's a good kid, and I'd hate to lose our monk. TLDR, I run 2 games. One is kid-friendly, the other is private at my home. Kid wanted private games. I said no. Mom got mad and ruined everyone's day because she is a bad person. Edit. Thanks for indulging in my drama sharing. Love the hobby. Simon is a great little dude. His dad is a great big dude. Glad to have met them. Thanks everyone for letting me spam replies and shoot the breeze. You're all great. Update September 17, 2024. If I have any updates on things I'll post on my profile so as to not spam unrelated things on various subreddits. Original post here. Hey everyone. It has been pure chaos the last few days, but after everyone was so nice I figured I'd let you guys know what has happened since it's mostly good news and should put some minds at ease. I ran into Simon's dad and his sister Anna at the store and they invited me out to lunch to chat. Simon's doing pretty well all things considered. Dad says he and mom were already most of the way through the divorce process, but he and his almost ex-wife agreed to keep it quiet until they had finalized some agreements. Mom showed her ass yet again and basically admitted she didn't want Simon very often and negotiated for some money in exchange for giving full custody to dad with a few holiday visitations, if she can make it. She's moving a few states away to live with some of her friends from college. He doubts they see her more than once a year if that. He said it went as well as he could have hoped. He's just glad it's almost over. Auntie Anna, as Simon calls her, is dad's sister. She's stepping in to help with Simon while dad juggles everything. She brought him to the shop this weekend and she hung out by me while I ran the game so she could learn. Everyone had a good time. Even got a few giggles from Anna, so I'll consider that a GM's job well done for first impressions of the hobby. Shame the first RP she had to see was me as Marty the farty lizard folk merchant NPC that they ran into last session. Lots of hissing and farting noises out of me for 15 minutes. Simon was able to pass enough con saves to buy what the party needed from Marty, discounts in exchange for risk of poison damage, and they tricked the corrupt town guard into accidentally arresting themselves due to an elaborate performance by the bard and Simon's monk. Game went well. Anna and I talked while Simon looked at all the dice sets for an hour after the game. She's been pulled into a parent group of parents of kids in Simon's class. I guess Simon has all the other kids wanting to try playing, and since my private game is on hiatus for at least 6 months I offered to run one if the parents were comfortable with it. I end up getting added to the group chat and Anna's house is where we're gaming. Next day Anna and I met up for lunch and I helped her put together a gaming space in her living room. A few of the moms came by to drop off some snacks and to introduce themselves in person. I feel like I've been adopted into a family of families, but I don't even have a family of my own. Everyone has been great. I'm so glad Simon is surrounded by these people and not people like his mom. The kids were all very well behaved. Anna and I were a bit nervous being the chaperones for a bunch of kids, but Simon's friends are great. They all had a blast making characters and doing the test encounters I had for them. There's a girl that made certain she was always seated next to Simon and barely took her eyes off him. She has a huge crush on him, but doesn't think he even realizes what's going on. It's adorable. Parents were all happy with game night, and honestly I liked running for all kids way more than I had expected. Anna and I agreed we were fine with doing this regularly, so now Anna and I are the game masters to everyone. Also, I'm now Uncle Caleb to Simon. Not sure what I did to earn the title, and I definitely didn't get emotional when he called me that. So that's about it. I still run 2 games. I've been adopted by a 9-year-old. And I've taken over Anna's living room with minis and battle mats. Simon is an incredible little dude and I'm glad to have met him and his amazing family, one parent excluded. TLDR, mostly good news for Simon and his family. I've been adopted into said family somehow, and I'm now running a game for a bunch of Simon's friends in place of my private home game for the time being. Edit. Thanks again, folks. Like I said in a comment earlier, I don't foresee there being anything else to update on that would be relevant to this sub, so, barring some other bizarre incident happening to me while I'm gaming, I suppose this is me fading into the background. I think I smell something. Oh god, Marty's back. Edit 2, just gonna sneak this in here because people are actually messaging me like crazy and I wanna just state my status with Anna. I am deeply infatuated with her. I could just go on about her like a love-struck puppy, but I'm embarrassing myself enough as it is. We've got a busy next couple weeks ahead of us, but luckily for me a lot of that busy time will be spent with her working on things for Simon and the game nights. So for now I'm gonna let things be, give us time to know each other better. We've been texting pretty regularly the last few days, and I'm starting to think there's something here. Once things calm down I fully intend to ask her on a date. Too many folks in my life and on here telling me I'd be an idiot not to. Also spoke with Drew, Simon's dad, this morning and he's doing alright. Said he'll be better in a few weeks when he's able to take some vacation. Gonna take Simon on a father-son trip for a few days. He's exhausted. Even with the reduced workload he's just now getting time to rest. Poor guy needs it. New updates. I've fallen really hard for a woman I just met. September 27th, 2024. It's been a week. I've known this woman for about a week and I've already fallen hard. Infatuation levels are all set to max. She's incredible. Gonna be spending a lot of time with her for a few weeks and I and a lot of folks we know are saying I should ask her out. I'm going to. I just want to let us get through this busy point and take a bit of time to get to know her more first before I do that. If anyone sees this September 22nd, 2024, I'm just going to update here if I have any good news to share at some point. Update for anyone still curious. October 4th, 2024. Hello everyone. While this is an update originating from a post on RPG horror stories, there isn't much of a horror story anymore. Just some updates on my situation and the people in my life. I wasn't expecting as much interest after the initial drama, but I've also been made aware just how much of a dense goober I am, partially thanks to folks on Reddit pointing some things out. My nephew Simon is the coolest little dude in the universe. His interest in board games is starting to really take off ever since Anna brought him over to my place and he saw my shelf of games. He absolutely loves Ticket to Ride. I gave it to him and he wants to play it next game night. The public game party is now chasing the big bad through a few portals leading to a chronomancer's domain in the stomach of a kraken. So that should be fun. Simon has expressed interest in learning to DM. I'll teach him everything I know. I would gladly play in any campaign that boy runs. He said he has some ideas and I intend to help him make those into dice-based reality. As for how he's handling the situation with his mom, Simon is doing well, but he struggles. He's very clingy toward Drew. I'm betting this is normal for kids in Simon's situation. Simon has Drew, Anna, and a good head on his shoulders. He'll be fine. Drew and Simon spend a lot of their time together just doing little projects. They're currently putting together a puzzle while watching Simon's shows. Drew told me this was a once-a-month thing due to his work schedule. Now it's several times a week and they both love it. Drew did need a little time to decompress from dad mode, so one night he and I went out to a bar for a few drinks. He told me about his plans to take Simon out of town on a father-son trip. Simon's just excited the hotel has a pool. Drew says he doesn't plan to date or do anything anytime soon. The ink's still dry on the divorce papers. I think being a single dad is what I want to be right now. He wants to focus on Simon and figuring out what life looks like for them going forward. As for Anna, she was initially busy balancing work, Simon, game nights, and a bunch of other responsibilities since she stepped up to help Drew. Things stabilized a lot faster than anyone expected, with the divorce resolving smoothly and Simon being the easiest child in the world to take care of. Now that Drew is using vacation time, she has had a bit more free time until he goes back to full-time work. So she's been catching up on some of her hobbies like baking and playing games on her Switch. I had to come over and run the cables to hook it up to her TV because she couldn't reach it. She also needed my help setting up her Wi-Fi when she got a new router. And she has had multiple issues with her laptop that I've had to resolve for her. That woman is brilliant in every other regard, but truly clueless when it comes to tech. But I was paid for my ticket resolutions and homemade meals. So I'll call it even. The more time I spent with Anna, the more confident I got that asking her out was the right call. So I asked her out and she said yes. Unfortunately, Anna gets migraines semi-regularly and one hit her just before our date. I came over and she was visibly miserable, but trying to convince me it was okay and we'd still go out. I practically had to order her to go get into bed. Got her migraine pills and some water for her. Blacked out the curtains and told her to call if she needed anything. She called me a few hours later asking for something to eat because she was feeling better, so I got her some dinner and ate with her. She kept trying to apologize, but I told her to make it up to me with another date the next day, which we were able to actually go on. It was a fantastic night. Had some amazing food and walked around town and talked, then went back to drop her off and we sat out in my car for another hour and talked. The last thing she said before getting out and running in was, "You're my boyfriend now, by the way," before shutting the door. I had no intention to argue even if she'd left me time to. Since then we've gone on a few more dates in our free time and we're both really happy with how things are going. It turns out Anna was a few days away from asking me out herself if I didn't make a move. She also hasn't stopped teasing me about Marty and his farts. And I told her about the werewolf Pierre Wolf I'm using soon and she won't stop patting my head and calling me the good boy. I'm not giving her character previews anymore. I guess that's it. In the last few weeks my life has changed so drastically it's insane. This may be strange to say, but thank you for sharing in this internet sharing circle thing that this became for me. My ex-girlfriend opened up 2 credit cards in my name after we broke up. She ran up about $7,500 in debt, and her current boyfriend is now threatening me. Original post. My ex and I broke up a little more than a year ago. We lived together for a couple of years and I know she would have had access to my financial information. When we broke up, I moved out of the house we were renting and I thought I had everything of mine. Back in February when I was doing my taxes, I realized I could not find my folder with my previous year's tax returns anywhere. I assumed it got lost in the move and didn't think anything else of it. Last Friday, I got served for a lawsuit to the tune of over $5,000 for a defaulted credit card. When I went and actually pulled my credit, I saw that card had been defaulted since May and there was another one which had been closed since June for about $2,500. Seeing as I had no knowledge about this, I immediately disputed both of the accounts on all 3 bureaus' websites. I was able to talk with someone for one of the cards and they said it was opened in January, well after I had moved out of my old house, and the cards were sent there. I received the statements from the one card and it was probably 80% Nordstrom Macy's, 2 of the stores my ex loved shopping at. Pretty sure she was the one who opened the accounts, probably used my social security number from the old tax returns. I called my ex about it and she denied everything, even when I told her that eventually, if she had anything shipped to the house using a stolen credit card, she's going to get found out. She flipped and started screaming at me saying I can't seriously accuse her of anything and to never talk to her again. About 20 minutes later I get a call from a blocked number. It was her boyfriend threatening to make my life a living hell unless I stopped harassing her by claiming she stole my identity. He hung up but I was shaken up about it. I can see he's got some serious felonies just by looking at the public records on the county website. I'm kind of stuck here. I'm opening myself up to retaliation if I go forward with anything from someone who has charges of aggravated arson and aggravated discharge of a firearm, in addition to a few battery charges. I can't just not do anything though. Any advice would be greatly appreciated. Relevant comments. Commenter. Copying this for every identity theft situation I see on here, since it seems to happen a lot, where you know who the person is who stole your identity. This is all information you can find in this sub and others. 1. Call the police. You're the victim of identity theft, plain and simple. It doesn't matter who did it or what your relationship is to them. They broke the law, now they have to face the consequences of their actions. 2. Freeze your credit. You want to make sure it doesn't happen again, take the proactive route of freezing your credit. 3. Monitor and track your credit. You need to be alerted if anyone tries opening a line of credit in your name. This gives you a way to do it for free and it shows your credit score. 4. Warn anyone else who might be a victim. This includes family members or anyone else whose social security number might be compromised by the thief. 5. Take the police report to the credit bureaus. Give them the report number when you dispute all of the accounts. Most of the time, that will be enough for them to take the accounts off of your credit. It's on the creditors themselves to prove the accounts are legitimately yours and the bureaus aren't going to get in the middle of it. A police report goes a long way in clearing up your credit. Don't take identity theft lying down, even if it's someone close to you. If you let them get away with it, get ready for 5. 10 years of bad credit, collection agencies coming after you, lawsuits, etc. For this specific case, you need to go to the police like now. This guy seems like an incredibly violent person. I would get a restraining order as soon as possible. Does he know where you live? I also would not contact your ex at all about anything else. Let it all go through the court system. OOP. I plan on calling the police. I was just kind of freaked out about the whole situation. How do I get the police report to the credit companies? Commenter 2. File a police report for the fraud. Contact the lenders and provide the police report number and jurisdiction. Let the police bank sort it out. Provide all that info to the lawyers that filed the suit and bring it all to court. Do not skip a court date. Update. I followed the advice in the comments and went to the police. Quick and painless process. I was in and out in maybe 30 minutes with a report number. I never received another call from my ex or her BF. I gave the report number to the credit card companies and the credit bureaus. I was told I didn't have to do anything else at that point but to show up to the court date for the lawsuit. I learned through a mutual friend today that my ex was arrested this morning. Apparently the county put out a warrant for her last week, pulled her over on the way to work. It looks like she was charged and released pretty quickly. Also, I learned my ex and the BF who threatened me are no longer together. I don't think I have to worry about him anymore. The court date for the lawsuit is later this month, but everything has already fallen off my report. My score has gone up probably 200 points. I'm still going to the court date just to make sure everything is good, but it's looking like all good news from here on out. Relevant comments. Commenter 1. That's awesome news. Your story will also serve as inspiration for others to pursue justice when they've been wronged. Commenter 2. Make sure you put a freeze on your SSN with all 3 credit bureaus, if you haven't done so already. My ex kicked me out mid-road trip, now demands I drive 2 states to return a watch he stashed in my bag to test me. Original post. So yeah, like the title says, we were both remote workers and decided that we could van life and see things while still working. We lasted about a month, and last week he flipped out over the way I sipped my coffee and told me I had to leave. I thought he meant like we would pack up and figure out how to get me home. No, he meant I needed to get out with all my shit in the middle of a state park in New Mexico and figure it out. I was scared and pissed, so I hurriedly packed everything and got out. A very nice older couple had heard the screaming and saw me with a pile of my stuff and asked if I needed help. I said yes, and they said they would drive me to Albuquerque in their RV and we could figure out what would happen next. Well, it turns out they are the sweetest people ever, and we eventually came to the conclusion it would be easier for me to travel with them home to Kansas, and now they've allowed me to stay, paying them insanely fair rent, food, etc. I just have to edit the wife's book and help the husband with his guitar playing. Well, it turns out in the hurry of packing I grabbed my ex's watch. That was his dad's. I got in touch with him and told him I was sorry. It was truly an accident and I had no intention of keeping it. How would he like me to get it to him? He said I needed to meet him in Utah. I said that was ridiculous. I could send it to him. He said that it was too valuable to trust to mail or FedEx and needed to be hand-relieved. I said I was in Kansas and not coming to Utah, but I would return the watch to his brother when I go home in March. He said no, the only solution was for me to drive it to him. I said I didn't even have a car. He said, you're probably fucking half of Lawrence, use one of theirs. At that point I blocked him. The watch is pretty valuable and has a lot of sentimental value, and I will return it. It was my oversight that I have it in the first place. What are my obligations to follow his instructions to get the watch back to him? Edit. Wow, this blew up. For the people asking, it is a lower-end Rolex watch. It still has all the original box and even receipt when his dad bought it, but it was well worn, so he's never been sure how much it's worth. I guess a few hundred, maybe 1,000, so I'm not sure. I'm not going to keep it or destroy it since it's not mine in any way. Top comments. Comment 1. You gave reasonable options. Let's say he files a police report that you stole it. You have proof that you contacted him and asked where you could send it. He declined. Comment 2. Dude sounds like a psychopath. Do not under any circumstances willingly meet up with him in person ever again. Don't let him know where you live. This level of douchery is a sign of something being very off, and you don't want to be there again when he short circuits again. You were extremely lucky to have found the people you did. Who knows where you'd be if that had not happened. Update. So I posted exactly a week ago. Link below, but the short story was I was van living with my ex-boyfriend. He kicked me out after a temper tantrum and I caught a ride with some awesome people. I discovered I had an ex's dad's watch that had lots of sentimental value. I told him, asked where I should send it, He demanded I drive from Kansas to Utah and return it even though I don't have a car. Well, so lots of mixed advice, but most people said the best option was to contact his brother. Before I did that, I decided to unblock my ex just to give him one more chance to give me an address where I could ship the watch. Actual text conversation. Me? Hey, I'm sorry I blocked you. I just didn't appreciate the insults, but I want to get her dad's watch back. Can you let me know where to send it? I'll pay for shipping, no problem. Like less than 30 seconds later, him. I stashed the watch in your bag because I wanted to prove to myself what an awful person you are and do a good job at proving me right again. I was like, wow, so many people in the original said that he probably put the watch in my stuff as I was packing in order to force communication and force the opportunity to see him again. Well, you were exactly correct. I didn't even respond to his text and blocked him again. I have no intention of keeping the watch, so I decided now it was time to contact his brother, who, along with his wife, has always been very nice to me. He was super appreciative and we spent a couple days going back and forth figuring out the shipping, but the watch arrived to him on Friday and all is good. He even Venmo'd me $1,000 for being so honest, contacting him, etc. I make really good money, so I told him it wasn't necessary at all, but he insisted, so we agreed to donate it to a food pantry here in Lawrence. But I'm still so creeped out thinking about the day when he kicked me out of the van and he was screaming at me, calling me all sorts of names, and he was planning to stay in touch with me. He was slamming all my stuff into bags, but that was cover for him hiding the watch. The fact that it was so deliberate yet he thought of it so quickly is so scary to me. We got along so well before we left and he always seemed like such a great guy. I don't know if the confined space of the van is too much for any couple or if it brought out a side of him I didn't know was there. Makes me sad and scared at the same time. But relieved it's over. Relevant comments. Comment 1. He framed you? To prove to himself that you were awful? He's dumb enough to fall for his own frame job? I really truly can't wrap my head around how stupid he must be. Comment 2. What I don't get is his logic that this would prove OP's a bad person. How the fuck was she supposed to know about the watch when you kicked her ass out in a state she didn't know about it until after she got to safety, possibly thousands of miles away? Like you thought she was just gonna be running back to you? Fuck that dude. Comment 3. I think in his batshit crazy mind she was bad to not instantly head to Utah to return it. He's clearly insane.